Jane Eyre operates as both a compelling personal narrative and a sophisticated critique of Victorian social structures, challenging contemporary assumptions about class, gender, religion, and individual worth. The novel's thematic richness emerges through its exploration of fundamental questions about human dignity, social justice, and the possibility of equality in a hierarchical society. These themes are not merely abstract concepts, but are embodied in Jane's experiences and struggles, making them concrete and emotionally resonant for readers. The theme of social class permeates every aspect of the novel, from Jane's initial position as a dependent orphan to her eventual inheritance and marriage to Rochester. Brontë presents a nuanced critique of class distinctions that goes beyond simple condemnation to explore the complex ways in which social position affects individual identity, relationships, and opportunities. Jane's movement between different class positions throughout the novel allows Brontë to examine the arbitrary nature of social hierarchy and its impact on human relationships. Jane's position as a governess places her in a particularly complex social situation that exemplifies the novel's class themes. Neither servant nor family member, the governess occupied an uncomfortable middle position that highlighted the tensions and contradictions within Victorian social structure. Jane's education and accomplishments place her above the servants, yet her economic dependence and lack of family connections exclude her from full acceptance by her employer's social circle. This liminal position allows her to observe and critique social pretensions from a unique perspective. The novel's treatment of wealth and its relationship to moral worth challenges conventional Victorian assumptions about the connection between material prosperity and virtue. Rochester's wealth, derived from colonial exploitation, carries moral taint that must be purged through suffering and loss. Conversely, Jane's moral integrity remains intact despite her poverty, suggesting that true worth is independent of economic status. Her eventual inheritance provides her with economic independence without corrupting her character because it comes through legitimate family connections rather than exploitation. Gender equality represents perhaps the most revolutionary theme in Jane Eyre, with the novel challenging virtually every contemporary assumption about women's nature, capabilities, and proper social role. Jane's assertion of intellectual and spiritual equality with men was radical for its time and remains powerful today. Her famous declaration to Rochester that she is not an automaton and that she has as much soul as he articulates a fundamental challenge to patriarchal assumptions about women's inferiority. The novel's exploration of women's economic dependence reveals the practical foundations of gender inequality in Victorian society. Jane's career as a governess represents one of the few respectable occupations available to educated women, yet even this position offers minimal security and social status. Her inheritance becomes crucial not merely for its romantic plot function, but as a means of achieving the economic independence necessary for true equality in marriage. Bronte's treatment of passion and sexuality in the novel was controversial for its frankness and psychological realism. Jane's acknowledgement of her sexual attraction to Rochester and her struggle between desire and moral conviction presented a new model of female sexuality that recognized women as feeling, desiring beings rather than passive objects of male desire. The novel's exploration of the tension between passion and principle reflects broader Victorian anxieties about the relationship between emotion and morality. Religious themes in Jane Eyre reflect the complex spiritual landscape of the 19th century, with the novel presenting multiple forms of religious expression and critiquing the extremes of both evangelical fervor and formal religious authority. Mr. Brocklehurst's cruel Calvinism at Lowood School represents the distortion of Christian principles through hypocrisy and class prejudice. His emphasis on humility and submission serves to maintain social hierarchy rather than promote genuine spiritual development. Helen Burns embodies another religious extreme through her saintly resignation and acceptance of suffering. While her Christian patience provides a counterpoint to Jane's rebellious spirit, her early death suggests the limitations of pure resignation in the face of injustice. Helen's influence on Jane is important but not definitive. Jane learns from her friend's example while maintaining her own sense of justice and self-worth. St. John Rivers represents religious extremism of another kind through his cold evangelical fervor and attempt to subordinate human feeling to divine duty. His proposal that Jane marry him and become a missionary represents a form of spiritual tyranny that would require the suppression of her emotional nature and individual desires. Jane's rejection of his proposal affirms the value of human feeling and the importance of maintaining personal integrity in religious faith. The novel's treatment of imperialism and colonial exploitation, while less prominent than its other themes, reflects growing awareness of the moral costs of Britain's expanding empire. Rochester's wealth derives from his Jamaican sugar plantation, linking his prosperity to the exploitation of enslaved people. Bertha Mason's Caribbean origins and her portrayal as a violent, degraded figure reflect contemporary racial prejudices, while also serving as a symbol of colonialism's corrupting influence on the colonizer. The theme of independence versus dependence runs throughout the novel, affecting not only Jane's personal development, but also the broader social commentary. Jane's fierce determination to maintain her independence, even at great personal cost, challenges Victorian assumptions about women's natural dependence on male protection and support. Her refusal to become Rochester's mistress stems not from conventional morality alone, but from her understanding that such dependence would compromise her dignity and equality. Education emerges as a crucial theme related to both personal development and social mobility. Jane's love of learning and her natural intelligence provide her with the tools for economic independence and intellectual equality with her social superiors. The novel's detailed attention to educational institutions, from the harsh regime at Lowood to Jane's role as Adele's governess, reflects contemporary debates about educational reform and expanding opportunities for women's learning. The theme of family and belonging addresses fundamental human needs for connection and acceptance. Jane's lack of family connections leaves her vulnerable to abuse and exploitation, while her eventual discovery of cousins at Marsh End provides her with the family ties she has always craved. Her inheritance from her uncle not only provides economic independence, but also establishes her legitimate place in society through family connection. Justice and injustice form recurring themes throughout the novel, from Jane's childhood confrontations with the Reed family's cruelty to her adult struggles with social inequality and moral compromise. Jane's innate sense of justice drives many of her actions and decisions, from her rebellion against John Reed's bullying to her refusal to accept Rochester's bigamous proposal. The novel suggests that true justice requires both individual moral integrity and broader social reform. The theme of appearance versus reality permeates the novel's exploration of social pretensions and moral worth. Characters are frequently not what they initially appear to be. The apparently charitable Mr. Brocklehurst proves cruel and hypocritical. The seemingly weak Rochester possesses hidden strength and passion. The plain Jane reveals extraordinary depth and power. This theme challenges readers to look beyond surface appearances to recognize true worth and character. Fire and ice imagery throughout the novel symbolizes the tension between passion and restraint, emotion and reason. Jane must learn to balance these opposing forces, neither suppressing her passionate nature like Helen Burns, nor allowing it to consume her like Bertha Mason. The novel's resolution suggests that true fulfillment requires integration of feeling and principle, passion and moral conviction.